Hello and welcome back. Now in this video we're going to explore some of the differences that you might encounter if you were speaking polite English in the UK or if you were speaking polite English in the USA. Now in both America and England we both speak the English language, but there are some cultural differences which mean that it is different to be polite in the UK and it is different to be polite in the USA. So let's have a look at some examples. In the UK, we very much like to give people their space. So let's say somebody is listening to their personal music player on the bus, or they are reading a newspaper on the train. It's probably more polite in England to leave them to it and give them a little bit of space. That's really polite. We call it social distance. Whereas in the States, there's a huge value on openness and being friendly and being outwardly friendly. So somebody might go up and sit next to somebody on public transport and say, "Hi, how are you?" and ask them some questions about themselves. So those are some cultural differences between being polite in the UK and being polite in the USA. For example, on how you approach somebody on public transport or in a social situation. Maintain privacy. In England or in the UK, it is less polite to ask lots of questions. We explored this slightly in the polite small talk video, and we were talking about how actually when you have a conversation with a stranger, you can ask questions, absolutely, but you want to be able to share your opinion too, so you're not asking too many questions. Now this might be slightly different in the USA. You can afford to ask a few more questions and you won't come across as impolite if you're in the USA, but if you're in the UK, particularly bear in mind that we prefer to be asked less questions. In terms of being formal, obviously it's very polite to say please and thank you. We went over this in the please and thank you video earlier on in this course. And in England and in the UK, we will often say please at the end or at the beginning of a request, and thank you when somebody returns something to us. Now, we gave the example of being in a restaurant, but actually if you were in a restaurant over in the States, you might not say as many please and thank yous, because in America, equality is very much valued in terms of the sense that you might be giving some information to the waiter and telling them what food you would like. You don't feel the need so much to say please and thank you because you feel that they are equal to you. So you're not saying please and thank you, you're just giving them the information they need to fulfill your order. Whereas in the UK, we would very much say please and thank you to make our request absolutely really, really polite. In the USA, people can be very formal, particularly with their families. So parents can quite often expect their children to respond with yes sir, no sir, or yes mum, no mum. We don't have that so much in the UK, but I'll tell you what we do in the UK a lot. We say sorry a lot. So we use the word sorry a lot more in the UK than we would in the USA, not just to apologise, but sometimes to excuse ourselves as well. And in that sense, we're being very much less direct. So being polite in English in the UK is all about being less direct and keeping some space. It's very different in the USA, where it's very much more about openness, being open and being equal with the people you are talking to. And also being friendly and helpful, but without perhaps the need for so many of the language conventions like please and thank you and sorry all of the time. Another difference in terms of them being kind of friendly in the USA, you might hear the phrase have a great day. So if you're leaving a shopping mall, thanks very much, have a great day. Even on your receipt at the end of a bill, have a great day. Whereas American people might come over to England or to the UK and think to themselves, Oh, they weren't very friendly. The shop assistant didn't tell me to have a great day, because that's something that they see as being polite and friendly. It's something where we're a little bit more what you would call reserved in the UK. And, you know, perhaps we might say thanks very much. Perhaps we might say bye for now. Perhaps we might even say cheers, which is an English expression for thanks. There's less of that kind of communication where we're saying have a great day. We're being less open with our politeness. We're keeping a little bit of a distance from the person that we are talking to in order to maintain our politeness in the UK. Here's a difference as well. We were talking in a previous video about qualifiers and how you can use a word to qualify a verb or an adverb, such as the word quite. Now, depending on the tone of phrase and depending on whether you're in the UK or the USA, this word quite might qualify the word in a different way. So, for example, if someone wants to say something's okay, but they want to be really polite about it, in the UK, they might say, it was quite good, but they're almost decreasing the quality of the word good there by saying, oh, it was quite good, but, Whereas in the USA, quite good, here, quite good means very good, and the word quite actually increases the quality of the word. It was quite good. They mean it's very good. So there are some subtle differences here, and often you might be able to tell by the tone of the voice that they're using. Oh, it was quite good. Oh, it was quite good. Do you see the difference? And again, that is a subtle difference between polite English in the UK and polite English in the USA. So next time you are on a visit, either to the UK or to the USA, this is something to bear in mind, that in the UK we are a little bit more distant from people in order to maintain their privacy and remain polite. But somebody from America coming over might think that that's quite impolite. They might think, oh, they were a bit standoffish. They didn't ask me very many questions. They obviously weren't interested in me. It's very different in that sense. Whereas in the USA, you can ask lots of questions. You can be very open and very equal with people. In the UK, they might perceive that to be over-friendly. But equally in the USA, they might perceive our methods of polite English to be quite standoffish and a little bit rude. So it's important just to recognise that there are some subtle differences there. Not so much a difference in the language, but a difference because of the difference in culture and the ways in which we perceive something to be polite or impolite. So I hope you found this video interesting. Next time you're in the USA or the UK, how are you going to make sure that you come across polite? Are you going to give some social distance, or are you going to be friendly and open? Thanks very much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.